And I have been working with federal officials to make sure the response to this situation was quick and thorough, and I believe it has been. We're focused on two major things right now, and one is to work with state and local authorities to manage the consequences of this rolling blackout. In my judgment, the governors and mayors of the affected states and cities have responded very well. We've offered all the help they need to help people cope with this blackout. And they've, to this moment, have said they've got the resources necessary to handle it. The emergency preparedness teams at the local level and the state level are responding very well. I also want to thank the people in the affected cities and states for their calm response to this emergency situation. It has been remarkable to watch on television how resolved the people are about dealing with this situation, and I'm grateful for that, and I know their neighbors are grateful as well for the proper and calm response. The other thing, of course, we're working on is to get electricity up and running as quickly as possible. And federal officials are working with state and local officials to get the electricity grid up and running. Our goal, of course, is to do this as quickly as possible. Obviously, the sooner we can get electricity up, the more normal people's lives will become. One thing I think I can say for certain is that this was not a terrorist act. I've heard reports about a lightning strike in Niagara Falls, New York, and federal officials, of course, are investigating the veracity of that. We'll find out here what caused the blackout. But most importantly, what we now need to do is fix the problem and to get electricity up running as quickly as possible. I was pleased to hear that many of the airports up east are beginning to have flights leave, and that's good. So in other words, slowly but surely, we're coping with this massive national problem. Millions of people's lives are affected. I fully understand that their lives will not be normal for the short run, and hope that they continue to cope with this in a manner that they have done so far. I'm confident we can get things up and running as quickly as possible, and people's lives will go back to normal. Yeah.
Mr. President, does this suggest that even with all the attention paid to Homeland Security, that the electrical grid is still vulnerable should it have been a terrorist attack?
Well, I think, one of the things we'll have to do, of course, is take an assessment of why the cascade was so significant, why it was able to ripple so significantly throughout our system up east. And that'll be a very important part of the investigation once we deal with the immediate. And the immediate, of course, is to take care of people. For example, in New York City, Mayor Bloomberg has ordered out thousands of police officers on the street to help bring calm. Firefighters are working overtime. Emergency crews are out working well. And so my focus is to work with state and local authorities to help deal with the immediate problem. Of course, we'll have time to look at it and determine whether or not our grid needs to be modernized. I happen to think it does, and have said so all along. But this is going to be an interesting lesson for our country, and we'll have to respond to it. Yeah.
Do we know why this happened? Yeah.
Well, as I say, I saw a preliminary report, but we'll find out why, and we'll deal with the problem.
Mr. President, you said that the state and locals had said they have all the resources they need. Can you talk about what the federal government might do or might already be doing to help them out?
Well, one thing, of course, we're doing is we're getting the airlines running. The FAA is, as I understand, has cleared flights out of LaGuardia and Newark, for example. The organization of Homeland Security is aimed at quick communications with state and local authorities, and I think that that communication was quick and thorough. I've talked to Secretary Ridge several times. Governors have been notified, mayors have been notified, and we're prepared to do anything that we can upon request.
But it doesn't sound like they've asked you yet to do their.
Not much, because they're well prepared. I mean, the first thing that I think Americans ought to be pleased about is the fact that we're better organized today than we were 2.5 years ago to deal with an emergency. And the system responded well. Secretary Ridge was telling me 30 minutes ago how quickly the local authorities responded and how good the communications were between the federal government, the state government, the local government. It's a serious situation. But the people whose lives have been affected need to know there's a lot of people working to enable them to get on about their lives in a normal way. And hopefully electricity will be stored soon. I can't tell you exactly when, but I know a lot of people are working overtime to get it done. Thank you all.
So there we have the president who's speaking down in San Diego. In fact, he's going to address a crowd there at the convention center shortly, telling us what he knows about the blackout and expressing concern about the power grid. And he has been one of those who's maintained that the grid system throughout the United States needs to be updated. And I'm sure they're going to look into that. And he's here in California on a 2-day political tour through the state to raise funds for his reelection and other Republican candidates.
And he also said that his people are telling him that, people are working very hard to get the power back.
Who's already signed a $1 million deal with Nike. Today against South Korea, Adu had a dazzling debut, scoring his first goal for the U.S. when he dribbled past 4 defenders and then beat the goalie, tying the game at 1. Then in the second half, he scored 2 more goals as the U.S. pounded South Korea 6-1. Team USA will next play against Sierra Leone. This kid is the real deal.
Yeah, he's got some good footwork there, I'll tell you that for sure. Okay, we're going to take another look at the skyline of New York, because you've probably never seen it like this. The only lights that are on illuminated by emergency generators, and a very different kind of nightly news is just ahead with Brian Williams. Watch this.